Hey, Kinder, first and second. I'm excited to see you, and I've got a question for you. I've got two statements here. I researched to learn about a frog or an animal, and I researched to learn how to find all types of information. Which of these two statements do you think is the most important one? Is it I researched to learn about a frog or animal? Is it I researched to learn how to find all types of information? Can you tell your mom or dad or sister or brother what you're thinking of? I'll give you a minute. Good job. I'm glad that you shared. Now, I think that you're saying that the reason why we are doing animal research is because it will help us learn how to do all types of research so that we can always find information. Now, that's very, very, very important. Because right now we're doing it with animals, but when you get older, you're going to have to do other type of research. And then you will know how to do it. So let me put this here, and I'm going to come over here. So now, today we are going to be using the Great Kapok book again. And what we're going to be doing is that we're going to remember what we're thinking about frogs. Then we're going to start thinking about what do they eat and the words to watch. But before I do, let's just review. What do we know about frogs already? We know that they live where there's water and land. We know that they live all over the world except Antarctica, and that they live by ponds, rivers, trees, and leaves. So we know that. Now, what other thing do you know about what they eat? You're right. We read about that. You are totally right. We read in our first book that first they will eat algae, right? It says the tadpoles breathes by getting air from the water through feathery outside gills. As they swim, they eat very small plants that stick to larger water plants. These tiny plants are called algae. So you already know that. That's really cool. You also said, am I correct in this? The tadpoles have become tiny frogs. They climb out of the pond and onto the land. Their tails will become smaller and smaller until they finally disappear. The tiny frogs begin to eat insects and worms. They aren't vegetarian anymore. Wow, these guys are growing. So you're starting to get an idea of what they eat. So we know that they lived with parrots, snakes, and jaguars. But now, let's write down two things that we know that the frogs eat. They eat algae. They also eat insects, correct. And do you remember? There was one other one that they just told us there. Do you remember what it was? You're right, it was worms. So that's what they eat. You're correct. Now, your animal might not be a frog, because you might be looking for a bear or a lion or snake or peacock or llama, right? But what do these other animals eat? So you have to look at the habitats they live in. We said that ours lived in the tropics, but yours might live in a forest, in a grassland, in the deserts, in a mountain, tundra, or aquatic environment like the ocean. But here's the thing. These will have different animals living there and different plants living there. Can you go find in a book what your animal eats? We already found it here, but I want you to think about this for just a second. I'm going to use the Great Kapok book again. Hold on, it's just a little bit of a big book. Wait, I'm sorry. I always struggle with this book. It's such a big book. So here's my daughter. She's going to help me out, holding it. Thank you. So look at all these different animals here. Which of these animals would eat plants? Which of these animals would eat fruit? So let's say, what does the parrot eat? Does the parrot go about like that, trying to get an insect? Or does he eat fruit? Can you research that? Can you look at a picture and find that out and then go and find it in your book? So that's what I want you to do. That's what I want you to do today. Who would eat the parrot? Who would eat the frog? I know there's frogs here someplace because I've seen them, but who would eat the frog here? Who would eat the jaguar? Who would eat the sloth? Those are the kinds of things that I want you to figure out. Who eats who? It's called the, thank you, honey. It's called the food chain. And that's what I want you to think about. Who eats who? It's called a food chain. And if you can find that out for me, next week we will come up with a way to put our food chain together. So with this, I leave you. I am really happy to have you on my video. And don't forget to go to Google Classroom. I'll see you on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at our Google Meet. Talk to you then.